In excess of a couple of minimized extravagance SUVs are dull, easily overlooked details. However, the Porsche Macan is one of just a modest bunch that demonstrate trying and energizing to drive. In spite of its somewhat shed-like shape, the Macan exemplifies a lot of Porsche sports vehicle qualities. The base Macan accompanies a 261 HP turbocharged 2.0-liter inline-4 motor that produces a good measure of zip. Macan S gets a 375 HP twin super V6 that conveys a critical jump in execution, making it the second mightiest of the Macan line prior to conceding to the more enraged 434 HP Macan GTS, which we survey independently. The Macan's directing and ride make cutting through testing twisty streets as simple as cutting delicate margarine because of a body intended for execution over freight space. It's unparalleled with regards to driving feel. Thus, while the boxier BMW X3M will convey more gear, the Macan conveys a greater amount of what fans need: unadulterated driving soul. Its unparalleled physicality procured it a put on our 10 best trucks and SUVs and editor's decision records again this year. The cost of the 2024 Porsche Macan begins at $62,550 and goes up to $73,950, relying upon the trim and options. Given the Macan's athletic person, we'd skirt the base powertrain and go straight for the V6 controlled S, which gets a significant knock execution. Standard highlights incorporate a 10.9-inch touchscreen infotainment framework, a 10-speaker sound framework, and drove headlights. We'd likewise go overboard a little for the exceptional bundle for its warmed front and back seats, versatile headlights, and an overhauled 14-speaker sound framework. The game Chrono Pack has our consideration as well for its driver-customizable drive modes and send-off control feature. With the base Super 4-chamber, the Macan limits to 60 mph in 5.0 seconds. It feels chipper in and out of town. Yet speed oddities will need to move up to the twin Super V6 controlled S model. At our test track, the Macan S was a couple of moments behind the more impressive GTS with a 3.8-second 60 mph time. The Macan S is essentially speedier than the times posted by the Audi SQ5 and Puma F-Speed S. A SUV likely doesn't have to send off the line as fast as that, yet we sure feel a debt of gratitude. Speed is significant in a hybrid with brandishing expectations. However, we wouldn't be close to as dazzled with the Macan if not for its overall skill out and about. It seems surprisingly like a games vehicle. The ride is magnificently smooth and painstakingly controlled, and it's intriguing for a shock from the asphalt to spread the word about itself for the driver. The controlling is a smidgen lighter than it is in Porsche's games vehicles. However, it's still micrometer exact and wonderfully tactile. Given its Porsche family, you could anticipate that the Macan should be hitchless. Yet it has a negligible trailering limit of 2,000 pounds. Climbing from the 4-chamber to the V6-fueled Macan S and GTS, that greatest towing limit ascends to 2,400 pounds. The most productive Macan, as per the EPA, is the base model with the turbocharged 2.0-liter 4-chamber, which is evaluated for 19 mpg city and 25 mph interstate. The Macan S, which is controlled by the twin Super 2.9-liter V6, is evaluated for 17 mph city and 23 mph expressway. On our 75 mm certifiable parkway efficiency circle, the Macan S found the middle value of 26 mph, bettering its throughway figure by 3 mph. For more data about the Macan's mileage, visit the EPA's website. The Macan standard inside fittings are a mistake in a hybrid of this cost and provenance, and it's costly to equip one in a way that befits the Porsche peak. There's likewise less space for rearward sitting arrangement travelers in the Macan than in many contenders. The power movable seats for the driver and front traveler, while agreeable, are the main bits of standard inside gear that vibe sumptuous. You might have the entire inside hung in calfskin, which would mostly resolve the issue, yet Porsche, satisfying its cost-gouging notoriety, requires an extra $230 just to cover the dashboard and entryways in cowhide. A diminutive freight hold and little inside cubbies make the Macan perhaps of the most undown-to-earth vehicle in this fragment. Be that as it may, while has purchasing a Porsche at any point been an objective decision, we fit 6 lightweight suitcases behind the seat and 16 with the back seats collapsed, which ought to be enough for most people. Porsche's infotainment framework can be had with every kind of innovative highlights, yet they'll set you back. USB ports and 12-volt outlets are sprinkled all through the lodge, so everybody ought to have the option to keep their gadgets completely energized. A Wi-Fi area of interest and Apple CarPlay come norm. However, no Macan offers Android Auto. The Macan is accessible with a wide exhibit of driver help innovation, yet practically none of it is standard. The Macan is the class benchmark with regards to execution. It has agile dealing with and a general energy that is a greater number of sports vehicle than extravagance SUV. Sadly, the Macan is costly, particularly when you load it up with Porsche's apparently perpetual rundown of choices and ailing in freight space. Speed increase from the base 4-chamber motor is likewise underwhelming. The Macan has a firmer ride than most other little extravagance SUVs. You'll feel knocks and flaws in the street, yet entirely it's not cruel or awkward. Models furnished with the accessible air suspension have a smoother ride. It merits getting on the off chance that solace is really important. It's a comparable subject with regards to the front seats. The base front seats are firm and need movability and are not awesome for lengthy drives. Seats with greater customizability are accessible, yet it's lamentable that you need to pay extra for them. The environment framework works and the controls are not difficult to utilize. However, the position of the vents implies it's periodically difficult to feel the air coming into the lodge. You'll likewise have the option to hear the fans buzzing ceaselessly. Street and wind commotion isn't too muffled as in other extravagance SUVs, and the base 4-chamber motor can sound rough at times. The Macan has a firmer ride than most other little extravagance SUVs. You'll feel knocks and blemishes in the street, yet at the same, it's not unforgiving or awkward. Models furnished with the accessible air suspension have a smoother ride. It merits getting on the off chance that solace is really important. It's a comparable subject with regards to the front seats. The base front seats are firm and need flexibility and are not awesome for lengthy drives. Seats with greater movability are accessible, yet it's lamentable that you need to pay extra for them. The environment framework works and the controls are not difficult to utilize. However, the position of the vents implies it's periodically difficult to feel the air coming into the lodge. You'll likewise have the option to hear the fans buzzing ceaselessly. Street and wind commotion isn't also muffled, as in other extravagance SUVs, and the base 4-chamber motor can sound rough at times. The Macan's middle touchscreen has sharp-looking designs and is not difficult to utilize. All things considered, there's nothing genuinely champion about the Macan's innovation. Its voice acknowledgement isn't quite as natural as what you'd track down in the same BMW or Mercedes. What's more, both of those brands improve at coordinating Apple CarPlay, while the Porsche packs it into only 60% of the showcase's land. Cell phone joining was likewise marginally temperamental in our testing, and we expected to restart our test iPhone a few times to get remote Apple CarPlay to appropriately work. Our test vehicle likewise had driver helps that could utilize some refinement. The path-keeping help highlight didn't keep our Macan inside the path as well as it ought to have, and the stopping sensors were very delicate, leaving monstrous holes between the Porsche and any hindrances that were nearby. It's difficult to contend that the Macan is a decent worth. It's more modest than most all the other things in the class, and base models are burdened with the most unstrong motor Porsche will sell you. Porsche additionally leaves out numerous choices that different brands like BMW and Mercedes ordinarily incorporate as standard. It drives and feels like a Porsche and is unquestionably very much constructed, yet in some cases, simply having the right feel can't compensate at a vehicle's strong cost tag. Moreover, Porsche's guarantee is mid-pack when contrasted with other extravagance automakers, be it positive or negative. The Macan is one of the most famous Porsches discounted today. Yet, taking into account that they all appear to be identical, just a little gathering of genuine fans will see the distinctions between the base vehicle and the first-class GTS. Base models are likewise unreasonably costly for the gear and execution they convey, while additional strong models order a weighty premium. All things considered, the Macan in TS or GTS pretense is amusing to pedal on the everyday and would make for a drawing-in and fulfilling regular friend. Simply don't anticipate getting approval from passers-by that other Porsche proprietors so as often as possible enjoy. The 2024 Porsche Macan is a little SUV that is accessible as a customary internal combustion rendition or an all-new electric. Until further notice, we'll zero in on the ordinary Macan in light of the fact that that is the one at present accessible. It's accessible in 4 structures: base Macan, lively Macan T, Macan S, and Macan GTS. The Macan and Macan T have a turbocharged 4-chamber motor, while the Macan S and Macan GTS highlight a turbocharged V6 motor. The new Macan is an exhibition-situated SUV with an elevated degree of common sense for regular use, excellent hardware, and extensive setup. Jolt has prompted expanded baggage space in the Macan. Contingent upon the model and hardware fitted, the limit behind the back seat really depends on 540 liters, freight mode. Likewise, there is the Frunk, a second gear compartment under the cap with a limit of 84 liters. This adds up to 136 liters more than the past model. Assuming the back seat backrest is collapsed down totally, the back gear compartment limit increments to up to 1,348 liters. The most extreme towing limit of 2,000 kW adjusts the exceptionally down-to-earth characteristics of the new Macan. Contingent upon the model and hardware fitted, the driver and front traveler currently sit up to 28 mm lower than previously, while the back travelers sit up to 15 mm lower with expanded legroom. The inside is undeniably Porsche. The width of the cockpit is underlined by an incorporated dartboard. The rising plan of the mid-control area elevates the impression of a low and execution-centered position in the vehicle. Simultaneously, enormous windows give a light and vaporous feel to the inside space. Notwithstanding the cutting-edge computerized UIs, there are additionally select simple control components. For instance, on the air vents and the cooling controls, a drove light strip is incorporated into the mindfully planned trim segment of the cockpit and entryways. It goes about as both surrounding lighting and a correspondence light. Contingent upon the circumstance, it gives data or alerts, for example, for good tidings, charging processes, or related to the driver help frameworks. The gear in the new Macan empowers a serious level of customization.